Okay, so something caught my attention. And I don't know if it's just me feeling this way lately, but it feels like people have lost the ability to just talk to one another. I sit back and I just look around and it feels like having a normal face to face conversation has almost become impossible. We all have these digital devices and social media platforms designed to connect us, but from what I'm observing, it feels like they're doing the opposite. And I've been thinking a lot about how it affects everyday life. For example, I've noticed people talking about dates that they've been on. They seem too good to be true over the phone, just via text. The energy was there, the chemistry felt real, like I said, over the phone. But the second they sat across from one another at the table, they froze. It was all bad. And I see it all the time at restaurants as well. People just sitting there in silence, just looking at one another, completely lost. They forget how to talk to one another. They don't know what to do with their hands. They get quiet. They don't know what to talk about. Within 5 minutes, I see them pull out their phones, just scrolling through Instagram and using that phone as a shield because they don't know how to interact with one another. It became too overwhelming. And I'm a people watcher. I love to observe, and it's just so interesting to watch. But it makes me realize how much we're struggling just to hold a basic conversation. And lately, I've been paying attention to just daily habits. And it's crazy when you actually notice it. And it really made me stop and think. Just think about the last time you were waiting for an elevator, or you stood in a long line at maybe a coffee shop or at a fast food restaurant. What is the first thing everybody does? Pull out their phones. And we're all guilty of this. I'm not pointing fingers because there's been times where I've caught myself doing it also, just out of reflex or out of habit. But once I stepped back and I looked at that behavior, it only tells me that it has become difficult for people to just exist in a space together. Just standing somewhere with nothing to do for maybe a minute and your hands are already in your pocket. It's not really about the phone at this point, believe it or not, but people are just afraid of having conversation. They don't know how to break the ice. And when I trace it all back, all paths are leading directly to social media. We were told that social media was supposed to bring us together, closer together. But from what I can see, it rewired the way our brains even process human interaction. It feels like it stripped away our natural social skills and just left an entire generation terrified of face-to-face interaction. And I hear stories about people ending entire relationships through text messages and DMs. You don't even get a phone call anymore. You just find a breakup message just sitting in your inbox. And when I hear about that, I feel like we're becoming completely detached and hiding behind a screen because we're too scared to have a real conversation with someone. And then there's the kids. I look at these kids today and it's like they don't even know how to just go outside and play anymore, not without a phone glued to their hands. And it worries me because I remember how things used to be. We grew up running around outside, making up games and just playing until the street lights came on, keeping up a bunch of noise and trying to figure things out on our own. That's what my generation did. Now when I observe younger generations, all they seem to do is worry about TikTok and playing Roblox and constantly checking phones just to see how many likes they got or what people think about them online. I look at them, they look stressed out. They look anxious all the time. And it brings me down a bit because I don't think they even realize what they're missing out on. I hate seeing these kids miss out on normal, simple childhood because every single aspect of life has become digital. And it makes me wonder, what's next for us? If eye contact is already uncomfortable for a lot of adults, what does that look like 20 years from now? Are we eventually going to lose our ability to just speak out loud? Because at the rate we're going now, it feels like having an actual conversation is beginning to die out completely. Think about it. The second there's even 5 seconds of silence, a chance where we might have to make eye contact with a stranger, we look down at our screen. Because as long as it's a face-to-face interaction, nobody wants to be bothered. And you're praying that you're not looked at because you don't want to have a conversation. So you pretend to be busy. Anything to avoid being the one who has to say something first. And because we do this every day, those random moments where two strangers might have actually connected just don't happen anymore. We forgot how to handle just, being in a room with other people without needing our phones or some sort of digital device to comfort us. Go stand in the middle of a crowded place and just watch. Everyone's phones are glued to their hands. And it's so strange how normal that's become. Look at your screen hours. Look at how many hours a day you spend watching other people's lives instead of focusing on your own. And somewhere in those hours, I'm sure it was life-changing opportunities that passed you by. And do you know why? Because a conversation didn't happen. And someone didn't want to introduce themselves because the eye contact broke a second too early. I swear, we out here kind of looking AI at this point. I feel like we're abandoning our power and our presence just to escape feeling awkward. I see people too afraid to go for what they want in life because they're unsure of themselves and they don't know how to communicate. We have become terrified of just talking because we're letting these devices control our confidence. From what I can tell, I feel like communication online is just making us lazy and it's just killing our real world social skills. Real connections don't happen online. At least I don't feel like they do. I learned that you have to actually look someone in their eyes, feel their energy, and have a face-to-face conversation. That's going to determine if I like you or not. But you know what? So many people are hiding behind these screens. Those social skills are completely dying out. And a lot of people, they're fluent online, but just mute in person. You have people out there that can write a thoughtful, genuine, 3-paragraph comment under a stranger post, but can't even manage to say good morning to their neighbor. And they see this person every day. Somebody can text a whole book via text and can't even get through a phone call or a face-to-face conversation without their palms sweating. And it's not that the words aren't there. I'm sure they are. But the words are only coming out easy when you're looking at a screen. And I think about professional settings too. I've known people who went on job interviews but didn't get the position, and they couldn't figure out why. They had a good resume and they had good experience, but maybe it wasn't about the job experience. Maybe it was that they couldn't hold eye contact with the interviewer for more than 5 seconds without looking down. And another thing that I realized is that we have to start building real connections again. And it doesn't mean that we have to be best friends with everybody, but we do need human connections for different reasons in just different seasons of our lives. I've had to learn to deal with those awkward moments myself and just sit in the discomfort. And you know what? It's fine. You're going to be good. Because I realize if someone can't sit for 30 seconds in silence with a stranger, how are you going to sit through the hard, silent seasons of life? We can't keep flinching from small discomforts and expect it to be built for real pressure when it comes. When I look at high value people, one thing I notice about them, they master the art of communication and presence. They know how to hold conversations without it feeling forced or awkward. They can work a room. They remember names. They ask questions and they actually listen for the answer. That used to be a skill. It's so rare now, which means that it's become valuable because fewer people have it. But I want to say this. The next time you're out in a public space and you feel the urge to just grab your phone just to look busy or to avoid eye contact with someone, stop. Let it be awkward. Say hello. How's your day going so far? It won't kill you to open your mouth. I know when someone's talking to me, I make it a point. I put my phone face down or I put it out of reach and into my bag. You know, the best opportunities and the best connections happen when you actually look up and when you open your mouth. So stop letting that phone be your crutch. While everyone else is hiding behind a screen, you being able to communicate, that's going to put you so far ahead. You have an advantage when you know how to use your mouth and communicate. So put the phone down, be human again. And before we go, I hope you got some value from this video. And I appreciate you guys so much, more than what you know. But until then, I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.